Okay, many have been conditioned with the lie, and it is a lie, that the reason that Abu Dhabi 2021 happened was because the race director was under pressure and he made an error in terms of the way he applied the rules of the sport and it produced the outcome it did. That is what the world has been fed as the supposed validation for fixing the outcome of a sporting event because that is what took place. What most of the world doesn't understand is there are so many elements to this. It's not just a case of the sports official got it wrong and that's what caused the problem. This thing was broadcast to you. You have a team of commentators talking you through the action. When sporting commentators witness sport and something happens in that sport that's not allowed to happen in that sport, authentic commentators call that out. They're outraged by it and they explain that it can't happen and the reasons why it can't happen, and will be calling out in real time that the referee's not allowed to do whatever he's doing that's then going on. That didn't happen. Instead, you had the commentators proposing the notion that these things were possible before they even happened. Okay, that is fraudulent. People's alarm bells in their heads should be ringing at that. Sadly, people's understanding is so limited that they don't even consider that. The other thing is, what is being chosen to show you has been chosen. This construct on the right hand side of the screen, which is what is called the global feed, international view they call it, F1 TV is the television production team and camera crew and all of that piece together what it is that they want to show you when broadcasting the event to you. Not only is that the images, it's also the radio messages which are exchanged between the teams and the driver, and they pick and choose which ones of those that they want to then broadcast to the world. In doing so, they are drawing your attention to those words so that they hit you, so that you gain some sort of understanding from that. You understand the picture of what's going on. There's a reason why they've chosen specific messages for you to hear. Now, what I'm going to play you through is footage. They are currently on lap 56 of the Grand Prix. Lap 56 is the crucial lap. It's a 58 lap race. When you are lapping behind the safety car and cars have been lapped, the procedure which has to be carried out before any racing can resume is that once the track has been declared safe, the cars that have been lapped are released, and then the safety car stays out on track for a further lap. For the purpose of that is to enable those released cars the opportunity of trying to make it all the way around the track and catch up with the back of that safety car snake. That's the purpose of it. It's nothing to do with this proposed notion of getting them out of the way. I've proven numerous times that that is not the purpose whatsoever. So, knowing that we are on lap 56, and lap 56 being the crucial lap that the lapped cars have to be released on, because that's the only way that lap 57 can be that mandatory safety car lap, and that's the only way that lap 58 can be a racing lap. Otherwise, it's going to be a safety car finish. Everybody knows that. The teams know that. The competitors know that. The commentary teams know that. F1 TV know that. If you are broadcasting a sport, you need to know the rules of the sport. Otherwise, you could be focusing on something that's completely irrelevant. And if it's completely irrelevant, you don't broadcast that to the world to actually skew the minds of the viewers. Because why would you show them something that's not relevant to anything, that's going to somehow disorientate them because it's not relevant, is it? Why are you showing that? It's just completely not relevant. So I'm going to stop this where I can. I've synced them for the time being. It probably will go out of sync as I go this, but here's a few things that they broadcast that they shouldn't have broadcast because they were irrelevant and they weren't accurate. They weren't in accordance with the rules of the sport. So what are you doing, F1 TV? People don't understand the notion of F1 TV being part of the fix. They constructed this. They constructed it and made you believe it. This is the media making you believe something by broadcasting things a certain way. So, audio's coming from Tracker View, and I'm going to hit the play button with 1 second between the two. Let's go now.
That I suppose is the compromise that Race Control have made here by giving the best possible chance for racing to the finish rather than finishing behind the safety car. They've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
Okay. Firstly, we have, I suppose that is the compromise that Race Control is making here. You will not get a sports commentator when seeing the referee break the rules of the sport suggest, oh, I suppose this is the compromise the referee is making here. They will say, what is the referee doing? He's not allowed to do that. But what we have from Crofty of Sky Sports F1 is going, oh, I think the referees, I suppose this is the compromise the referee's making. The referee's not allowed to make a compromise. The referee's there to apply the rules, strictly apply the rules, not make a compromise. And this isn't a judgment call. It's not a case of assessing a situation and determining whether you perceive it to be a foul or not a foul. It's not a judgment call. It's a set procedure which must take place on the grounds of sporting fairness. You cannot neglect that procedure because otherwise you neglect sporting fairness to all competitors. It's not in any way a judgment call. So it's a ridiculous notion presented by David Croft of Sky Sports F1. Now we get the interjected message by F1 TV. Now, I've said this numerous times before. If you look on the left-hand side of the screen, Tracker View, top of the track between turn 5 and turn 6, this long straight that I'm trying to wave my cursor along, the conversation you're going to hear now takes place along that straight. F1 TV choose that conversation. They remove the gaps from the conversation because actually there was 2 or 3 seconds in between Max speaking and Red Bull speaking in reality, and they've reduced them gaps out of the way. And now at this point here, you can see on the right hand side here the Red Bull Verstappen icon there of a radio message just about to start playing. This is where they start to play this message, where they project that Red Bull feel they're being hard done by, and it's about the notion of lapped cars not being allowed to be let through. And Red Bull going, oh, it's a typical decision. I'm not surprised that they're doing this. And we are going to then go by turn 14 shortly after this message, and you will see marshals on the track. And that's the reason why they weren't releasing the lapped cars, because it wasn't safe to do so. F1 TV know that it's not safe to do so because there's marshals on the track, and yet still they pick out this message to make you think that Red Bull are being hard done by, as opposed to showing you the track and saying, well, and not playing that message, because you don't need to hear that message. You don't need to hear that Red Bull feel they're being hard done by, because they're not being hard done by. The situation just is what it is, that being the track is still being cleared up. Hence, you can't release the lapped cars. They've already put the message on the screen. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake, which is not a standard message at all. That one was made up, because the actual message is overtaking will not be permitted. That is what the actual message in the regulations is. Overtaking will not be permitted. That applies to every car. It's not ambiguous. Okay, if you get the message, overtaking will not be permitted. That's quite simple, isn't it? It means you can't overtake. That applies to everybody. If the message is lapped cars are not going to be allowed to overtake, what does that mean? Does it mean the lapped cars won't be allowed to pass the leader in the safety car? Does it mean if you're not lapped, you are allowed to overtake? Does it mean if you're lapped, you're not allowed to overtake the leaders, but when the race restarts, you're allowed to overtake each other? Or maybe you're not allowed to overtake each other even then. Your race is effectively over. Who knows? See, all of these multitude of options are there because that message is ambiguous. Hence, it is not a message. It's not in the regulations because of the reasons I've just described. It's a bullshit message. But F1 TV displayed that on the global television to make you think it was official, make you think that was real. It wasn't. It was made up. This is how far back it was all being contrived. Right? This was all contrived. Now, listen to this message, because this message, you will see when these cars go round to turn 14, the reason why this message is absolutely rubbish. F1 TV have got cameras on turn 14, so they know it's rubbish. They've chosen to play it to you.
Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Yeah, of course. Typical decision.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
Typical decision. I'm not surprised. Yeah, Red Bull are being hard done by. Then we get the extra validation from Crofty. Oh, well, what do Red Bull want? Do they want the chance or not? When there should be no chance at all because you cannot resume racing with lapped cars in situ. But again, they embellish that lie. But we continue on. We see where the cars are on tracker view. Hamilton is around turn 14 now. And we're now not seeing that. We're seeing the Red Bull garage and their emotions and Red Bull feeling hard done by. Again, the narrative being created by F1 TV. But we're going to see something on track very shortly. So keep your eye on the right-hand side of the screen.
Try and look at this objectively. We should get one lap of racing here. If we allowed the lap cars to overtake, we'd have no laps of racing to the checkered flag.
Oh, see them marshals on the track there. Okay. Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake. Typical decision. I'm not surprised. Poor Red Bull. What? That they're not releasing the lapped cars because the track isn't safe? Because that's the reason. And we get fools in the comment section that go, oh, they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to do that. Right. Okay. Number one, you don't know what you're talking about. Number two, look at the evidence. Okay. Look at the evidence of what actually took place. Were lapped cars released on lap 56? Answer, no. Is there a reason for that? Well, I'm giving you that reason. I'm giving you the reason being the track wasn't declared safe, hence they weren't released. It would make logical sense that if it was safe, they'd have done it. Then there wouldn't be this controversy. They could have gotten away with doing what they did, and there could have been no argument about it. So you can come up with all your hypothesis. The fact is, the lapped cars weren't released on lap 56, which is the lap that they needed to be released on. It didn't happen. Now, that's the facts. Whether you think it could have happened or not is irrelevant. It didn't happen. What you can see there is the reason, whether you accept that or not. There are marshals on track. Clerk of the course can't declare that track safe if there are still marshals working on the track. Hence, you can't give the order for those lapped cars to be released. You do so at your peril, because those released cars, as you see, start travelling off at quite some speed. And if there is some unsuspecting marshals still on the track, there is a risk of somebody dying. Hence safety. Hence the safety car. Hence continuing to lap behind the safety car until it is safe to do so. And then when it's safe, you carry out the procedure. Everybody knows that. But they lie to you, the viewer, about that. They pretend it's not that at all. They pretend, oh, it's a safety car. What's going to happen now? Anything can happen. When that's absolutely not the truth. It's a simple fact of, there's a crash, it's affected racing. Racing now is nullified. We've got to reform up the pack. It's going to be the gaps that have emerged between everybody, they're all wiped out. Everybody's now nose to tail. We get there at that position and then we start again. If cars have been lapped, we've got to carry out this procedure to achieve what I've just described about everybody becoming again nose to tail again in the right race order, and then we go again. Very simple. Instead, you get Brundle and Crofty shouting, going, what's going to happen now? Nobody knows. And it's all a lie. And what it does, it hypes the kids up. Because they're lying to the kids to get them excited. Abusers. Anyway, this isn't just the first thing from F1 TV. The next thing's really important. We're now going to go on to lap 57. So you're going to listen to a bit of Crofty, and then you're going to listen to Brundle saying, I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be one racing lap. We're going to be on lap 57 at that point in time. Let's play this through.
So what do Red Bull want? And Max Verstappen and Gianpiero Lambiase as race engineer, do they want the chance, or do they want to finish behind the safety car with no overtaking? Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control. And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah, I mean, the regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory, as I pointed out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through, because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be one racing lap.
I just stopped that a second too soon. They'll all get blue flags, of course.
We'll get blue flags, I would imagine.
Okay, so we get this icon on the right-hand side here. Red Bull FIA radio. Now, Brundle has just suggested, Sky Sports F1 have just suggested that they think that the safety car will be coming in at the end of lap 57, and there will be one racing lap. And at that stage, he's proposing that that's happening without the lapped cars being released. So therefore, we're resuming racing with the lapped car still in place. That hasn't been done since 2012, where lapped cars have met the criteria to be released. The order has been given for them to be released. The regulations have been applied since 2012. That's a fact. Brundle is suggesting that they don't have to, and at no point, nowhere in the regulations does it suggest that you don't have to do that. And there's a reason, and I've given that reason hundreds of times. Now, what are you seeing? You're seeing cars on lap 57. The lapped cars have not been released. If the lapped cars are now released, the safety car has to stay on track for a further lap. So we're on lap 57. If the lapped cars are released on this lap, the safety car stays on track for lap 58. There can be no overtaking until the start of lap 59. There isn't a lap 59. The end of lap 58 is the end of the race, which means it's a safety car finish. At this moment in time, 100%, this race has to be a safety car finish. The sport knows this, The governing body know this. The teams know this. The commentators know this, despite what they're lying to you about. F1 TV knows this. They know what the sport entails. They know the rules of the sport. What do F1 TV play the world? This is key. F1 TV choose this message. We don't know when it actually originally took place, because we don't know when, we don't have the live feed of teams communicating with race control. We don't know at what point in time this took place. What we do know is that they chose that message and chose for the world to hear it at this moment in time now.
Christian and Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
Just give me, well, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
On lap 57, F1 TV proposed to the world, well, they're not proposing to the world, they are choosing to broadcast to the world that message. On lap 57, that message is completely irrelevant. It's inaccurate. It's not possible. So why would you broadcast it? This is F1 TV. Look, everybody, Red Bull are on to the race director, telling him they only need one racing lap. Oh, but we're on lap 57, and even if the race director releases the lap cars now, lap 58's got to be that mandatory safety car lap to give those released cars a chance of catching the back of the pack. This is going to be a safety car finish. So actually that message is irrelevant, this notion of one racing lap. There can't be one racing lap. It's not possible. So actually there's no point in us playing that message to the world because it's irrelevant. But instead, they played it. They played it so that you are thinking, oh, Horner's just got onto race control and he said there only needs to be one racing lap. There only needs to be one racing lap. There only needs to be one racing lap. And then a bit further round, we get these lap cars out of the way. And then we get, and Brundle's already said, I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap. And it's ending, and it's ending. Wow. See how all this information builds together. Builds the picture. Builds the narrative. This is far bigger than an error made by a sporting official. It was entirely contrived, and they're all in on it. Thanks for your time. See you next time.